to stir up people, give them sort of like something to make them slightly uneasy. Really, all my work is about a certain kind of unease in me. Unease about things I cannot change. Unease also about, say, what it is to be a human being. My name is Marcella Hanselaar. I'm Dutch, clearly from an accent I'm a foreigner. And partly because I like being a foreigner, I came to this country. So I came to London and, I had an easel, a mattress and a bag full of clothes, and I stayed. This is my studio. I also sleep here. On the wall I have a couple of pieces of my forebears. So this is one, is my maternal kind of great-grandfather. He is a painter, and that one is a landscape there, which was his cousin or something like that. There's a photograph of him painting there. I'm from a slightly eccentric family, but not artistic per se. I was very, very pleased to discover that sort of like there are several painters, all male painters, of course, so, I have to sort of make up for that. But yeah, there were artists in the lineage. There is a kind of existential unsettlement, which I think is really, really important ingredient in all my work. Without it, I don't really paint harmonious pieces because, I can look at the world in a harmonious way. There's nothing to add to. I take away kind of, I'd say, a covering and want to look under it. And then, of course, what you see is really, which slightly makes you uneasy. And I think that's really important. It has to be quite theatrical. It has to be dramatic, of course. I started out abstract, and I think also because, when I started out as a painter, I was so intimidated to make mistakes. The abstract gave me some kind of control, and it was very philosophical. So all that was sort of like suited the stage of mind I had at that time. I only started to etch in printmaking in 2000. And I draw the plates always here in my own studio, in, as I say, quite sort of isolation, take them to Artichoke, and then print the first proof to sort of see actually how it looks. You draw on a plate, the wax is black, and so the line is then, silver or copper colored. It looks quite dramatic. So when you, of course, print it, you have really a lot of white paper with a single black line on it, and it might look very weak. Then you have to add drama in order to zap the whole thing up. You have to, get in the full orchestra, the big drums and the sort of like, clarinets, and, it's building up, crescendo, till you have, say, that last moment when it is all silent. It is very, it needs to be silent, just, and then you say, yes, that's it. But, that takes quite a lot of work, of course. The portfolio of the Crying Game has a kind of history, because I started the first in 2015. In 2011 and 12, I had begun to work on things about war, and especially about civil war. I started a series of very large prints first on that. And then the Crying Games, which was a continuation on that, was that Otto Dix has made a portfolio of 51 prints. And Otto Dix made this the series of prints, which is really the top of etching. He shows all the kind of techniques, all the kind of possibility, what you can do with etching on a subject matter which is made for etching. It is a grueling subject matter, i.e. his experience of war. I think, there's, in a way I thought, people just have to look at this and know they will never do war again. Of course, it hasn't happened. And so for me at that time, it was and the subject matter, sort of like civil war, this kind of total injustice. And at the same time, I was at a point as a printmaker where I felt, I'd been making etchings for 15 years, that I wanted to test myself, really, if I could not match him, because, that is unmatchable what he does, but really it was a challenge. I wanted to raise to the challenge, to the occasion, and I wanted to run with it. The thing, of course, is because I have not experienced war myself, and I felt I couldn't really pretend to do that, to pretend to make anything about war. I thought that was the wrong thing. So the title, The Crying Game, of course, is from the song and the film, and I just thought it was like an appropriate title for, the kind of ongoing kind of grief we give each other, we do to each other, and so that's how the whole series came about, as a protest, as a kind of, I didn't know how to hold my own in being, I think, inundated with this kind of information. This is my kind of protest to sort of say, hey, listen, this is not to be ignored. You know, we are collectively culpable. I'm not saying personally culpable, but we are collectively culpable, and we just have to acknowledge them, that's all. So it is this kind of the being aware of it, which really is all what it is about. The crying game, which is sort of the main kind of conversation piece in the Bearing Witness exhibition, or sort of main, not conversation piece, but dialogue, so it is like, you know, sort of sparring partners, is now in the Fitzwilliam collection, sort of the first 20, and I'm absolutely super delighted with it. It's just fantastic. I mean, the fact that you get acknowledged, that you're sort of like, you know, quality-wise, or sort of like what you do is sort of like on the level of a museum collection. I mean, it's just such a boost. You know, it's a weight off your shoulder, isn't it? And besides, I have to say, you know, I think it's really good that women get into sort of this male kind of world of museum. It really is important to me. And I think, yeah.